Hey gang, it's March 3rd still. Last time I checked, I'm an hour and a half to the west in the Baton Rouge area, just after doing the Sarah Wakeman video. And we're here today to see a famous, maybe called infamous pilot, commercial pilot, who did some dubious things and had a very violent end. They made some movies about him. Let's go find him. Let's go find Barry Seal, because we are in. All right, gang, 2 videos in one day. We're really going at it. So, we are going to visit the grave here of a guy named Adler Berriman Seal, better known as Barry Seal, who was a drug smuggler, among other things. A very interesting life. He certainly took a lot of chances, and he paid for it in the end. He was a pilot since he was a boy. He really started flying when he was 16. He earned his pilot certificate when he was 17. He was a natural, his flight instructor said. He was always had the devil may care attitude, and he was a huge risk taker. And here in Baton Rouge, he plied his trade. He started as a commercial airlines pilot for TWA after doing a stint with the Armed Services. He was with the National Guard here, and his early career at TWA can be described as successful. I mean, he was promoted to first officer very quickly, and that's the guy who sits in the right seat, and then very quickly made it to captain. So he was a competent and talented, but his career ended with TWA in '72 when he got arrested for involvement in this conspiracy smuggling of plastic explosives to Mexico using a DC-4. The case was eventually dismissed because the prosecutors, listen to this, the prosecutors, I think it was an AK or some type of assault rifle, and they like waved it in front of the jury to make a point, and the judge was like, mistrial, see you later. And probably too bad, because maybe that would have changed Barry's life. So he started smuggling marijuana, and he was making a lot of money. Of course, he got fired. He had to make an income. So there was some desperation involved, and he couldn't turn it down. Now, flying in this area, he's developed all of these unbelievable techniques. Now, I'm a pilot, and I can tell you that some of the stuff that I'm going to tell you is, in the pilot world, even ridiculous. Not only does it take risk and daring, but it's scary. He, of course, knew the area really well. Now we're talking bayous, we're talking jagged swamps and shorelines. And what he would do is he would fly low at night with the lights off, with night vision goggles. Can you imagine? And he would use the oil rigs like connecting dots, because he thought, and it was probably true, that the air traffic controllers would think it's just a helicopter going to and fro. And of course, other than that, if he wasn't around the oil rigs, he was flying right above the water. I can't even imagine, even if you had an accurate altimeter, flying at night just a few feet off the water. It's insane. For number one, if your engine goes out, and number 2 just hitting the water. Look at this. Okay, a little diversion. We have Dixie, Leah, and I see a picture, and what caught my attention here is a beautiful arrangement, but the youth born in 67 and died in 84. So we have a picture. Let's see. Oh boy, beautiful girl. Look at that. So sad. Wonder what happened. I will look it up, and if there's any information, I will put it right here. None of these men were ever caught. He would drop these loads at night into the swamps, and these guys would, the other guys would come and pick it up. And they drive it 12 to 14 hours, whatever it is, to Miami in the car. And they were bringing a lot of stuff in. By 78, he had expanded his little operation to the much more profitable cocaine. And I'm trying to stay at the back of these graves here. They're very packed in. Eventually, he ended up in jail. He was jailed in Honduras, coming from Ecuador. As the story goes, I don't think he was lucky. He didn't have drugs, but he had an illegal gun on board. So he was in like 6 or 7 months in jail, and that's where he met his connections, including Capt, who was a fellow Louisiana pilot and smuggler, who became one of his closest associates, along with another guy named Ellis McKenzie. After his release from prison, he met with William Roger Reeves on the flight back to the U.S., and it was Reeves who would provide Berry with his first connection to the Medellín Cartel. So this is where it started going big time. So he was flying all of these packages left and right, up and down. He got several airplanes, several pilots. This was a big operation. And of course, I'm not going to go into all the details, but he finally got caught. I mean, the DEA was onto him, and it was an incident when he was smuggling 1,200 pounds of Quaaludes that really got him in trouble. So he ended up becoming an informant because he wanted to avoid the crazy jail time. And of course, the DEA wanted to set up a sting. They set up the deal with Pablo Escobar and the Ochoa brothers, who were now aligned together. And they had said, okay, we're going new base. Nobody knows. It's a secret. And he went there, and when he landed, the Sandinistas, I think they shot him down. So things got really contested and ugly. So here's the deal. He finally gets this thing going, and he ends up, CIA insists that he takes a camera on the airplane, 2 cameras, and they say, you've got to get pictures of Pablo Escobar. So what does he do? That's what he does. And that kind of sealed his fate. Bad move, because what does the CIA do? They leak it to the press. Who cares about Barry? Here's his grave. Adler Berriman seal. A real adventurer, the likes of whom in previous days made America great. July 16, 1939, February 19th, 1986. I see here his parents are also buried next to him. Benjamin Curtis seal, 1904 to 1979. And this is Mary Lou, 1912 to 05. And I just noticed behind me is, I think, his brother, looking at the date. And by the way, this is a double. There's somebody, maybe he has another brother or sister. Benjamin Curtis Seal, Jr., the first son before Barry. And he was with the National Guard also. Sergeant U.S. Army National Guard, January 25th, 43. And he just died 7 years ago under August 24th, 2014, a true patriot. So Barry Seal, well, he spent a few months in jail, and I got to tell you, the judge purposely read in court where he would be serving his post-prison service at the Salvation Army Center, read out to the court the actual address, and they did not let him have a gun to protect himself. So the Medellín Cartel had a $500,000 bounty on him dead, and a $1 million bounty on him alive, which is, of course, a lot harder to do, is smuggle him out. But boy, they would have loved to torture him. Just after getting into the parking lot, got out of his car there at the Salvation Army, a bunch of guys came out with a submachine gun, an MP machine gun, and riddled him. He got hit 6 times, killed instantly. So that was how that ended for Barry Seal. There have been at least 2 movies, I think one with Tom Cruise, on his story. I haven't seen them, so I don't know how accurate they are. They're probably sensationalized a little bit, but we're going to pay our respects here, and good or bad, we hope that the Seal family here is all resting in peace.